Doug, aren't you the host of this thing?
Is that my cue? Sorry, everybody.
Uncle.
Yes, we obviously have flipped up and mixed up roles and responsibilities. But yes, I apologize.
You got to win all the money and host, Uncle. That's how college football works. You win all the money and you host.
Yes, everybody, how are you? I don't have the YouTube link up, so we probably waited for like 30 seconds. It was probably like a cool, awkward silence. I think you have to respect it. But yes, we're back. Obviously, Saturday, October 1st. Fall has begun for some of us that love the fall. Yes, and as you guys know, or some of you might know, Hocus Pocus was on last night, and that's where my workbench scenario was. I'm sure Big T can relate, and Mangone as well. Mangone, I want to ask you a few questions because you sound like you had yourself quite the night. You want to just say a few words for the crowd to let them know what I'm talking about?
No, I got sick, for one. I've been sick and it's not great. Two, Dunkel, I went and saw some friends last night, and one of them was a lady, and her boyfriend, and she was like, "Do you want to watch Hocus Pocus 2 tonight?" And I said, "We will not be watching Hocus Pocus 2. We will be going to get food. I'm going to get pasta and pizza. I'm Italian. I'm in New Jersey." Let me tell you, I ate 2 meals last night and it was a great time. So excited to be here and bring some winners, talk with the boys, and let you guys bring the winners because my voice sucks and you guys keep shipping. So
Big T, thoughts on Mangone being the healthiest guy alive in Colorado, takes a step in New Jersey for 24 hours, and now he's like the sickest guy in the world?
I know the man. Anytime I've seen him travel, he starts coming up with like allergies. He had like 9,000 tissues when he was at my house. Like, you get him on the road, the man starts to fall apart. I do like how he threw in the little thing though, that it was a lady that got him sick, not a dude. So I do like that part.
Love it. And Bruce, I often get called a silent assassin for reasons that don't or aren't warranted. But however, you just kind of sit over there giving out the highest quality of information in this industry week after week, and you have the biggest house out of all of us. What was the slate like last week? Obviously, I wasn't on the show with you guys, but how did it go for you last week? And what are some things you're looking forward to for this week?
Yeah, it went well. We did pretty good over here, so it was nice. We definitely missed you on the show, but Mangone did a good job hosting. So yeah, just looking forward to this week. This week, there's some chalky spots, but some spots that are hard to avoid. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, it's it's a tough slate. Last night was really chalky. I mean, I know you did well. I did well in cash, but yeah, it was everybody over 20% pretty much did well.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that the guys in my core had the scores they had, I would have thought it would have been pretty much a monster night for me. But either way, I mean, it was one of my off lineups that won. I had Robinson in, I think, 2 lineups or 1 lineup total.
The Big T, did you catch that? It was one of my off lineups. I mean,
yeah, always. I notice all his little things he throws out there.
I didn't cash in 5 of the 6 entries. Okay, the 1 entry that I cashed happened to be that high up.
We don't give a shit about the 5 entries that didn't cash.
What was your ROI?
You know what? I like asshole raspy Mango. Like, maybe it's just me. I appreciate it. I like it.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Stop complaining. I listened to that 2.5-hour Print Factory show that you guys won't make shorter, right? You make it 2.5 hours. I have Uncle sandbag. I hear all you sandbag. It's just ridiculous. Okay, come on.
All right, so fun slate ahead. As always in this sport, much less than in NFL, there's pricing mismatches all over the place. So yeah, we'll go through these games. I think it's 13 games, 13 or 14. One of them. Once this starts to load for me, we'll begin. So Ole Miss and Kentucky, first game on the slate. What do I have here for this one in terms of projections? So looks like Ole Miss a little over 30 points projected, UK a little under 24. Weird game to me, especially with this slate. I felt like they priced everybody relatively correctly. Jackson Dart is becoming the full-time starter or near the full-time starter for this team with a lot of rushing upside. There's just too many mouths to feed on this offense, and Evans is back this week, which to me puts Judkins out of the mix personally. I mean, granted, I'm sure people will play him at 5K. I'm interested in your guys' thoughts. But Evans looks good to go. This receiving core, Mingo's super talented, but continues to underwhelm. And on the UK side, look, the main point of conversation is Chris Rodriguez coming back. Is he going to get the full lion's share of carries? Probably not. If he was to, I would be way overweight on him today at this price. But I think that's what makes it interesting, right? Because this is a guy that when he's back in the swing of things will likely be 7, 8K every week, 6K now. Do you take the chance on his workload or lack thereof? Because I know the matchup's not ideal, but this dude eats every week in this offense. But this game's going to be a game I'm very underweight on overall. I would assume the same with you guys. But Bruce, I'll start with you. Anything you like in this game, how you're approaching it, and any players in particular?
It's funny, right when you said Chris Rodriguez, I just slid him into my GPP core. So yeah, I like him a lot. I watched the Ole Miss Tulsa game last week, and someone called Bill Jackson rushed for like 8 yards a carry against this Ole Miss defense. They really haven't played anybody up until now. They played like Georgia Tech, and this is like their first tough game of the year, I'd say. It is at home, so they have that going for them. But yeah, I think Kentucky is going to be able to move the football successfully here. I do love some C-Rod. Evans is probably going to be under-owned here as well. I've not been too impressed with Kentucky's defense, so you could probably play him in GPPs at 6,900. Nobody's going to play him. He'll be under 5% owned. I think the receivers, I really don't want too much here. Maybe Malik Heath. He's looked good. He's going to be on the field the whole game. Gets about 5 targets per game or so, and has 3 touchdowns. And 4K. You can slide him in there easily too. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. I don't want too much of this game.
Big T, this is normally a game I think you'd be avoiding. But anything you like in here?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't, especially in college, more so than other sports. I just don't play the bad spots. Like you can handpick some spots out, but there's just so many good spots in college that I just don't think you need to go to games like this. If you do, you're just going to play too many people and you don't get enough exposure to the good plays. I mean, I love Chris Rod, but man, I just can't see him getting a heavy workload right out of the gate. What, Smoke is still healthy there, I assume. I don't see it. A tough spot as a dog. Could play him for sure. I'm never going to argue with my man Bruce, but it does look, and running backs loaded today too. Like really, really good running back plays. So I get it. I just can't go there. And our boy, I would play Evans too, because I do love Evans. I mean, we started the year with Bruce saying how great Evans is, and I agree. The problem is Judkins is freaking beast too. So you got 2 guys. I love Judkins. He freaking smashed again last week. I know like the projections and stuff still want Evans to be the guy, and he very well might be. But Judkins is a beast. Like they're not keeping him on the sideline. A couple weeks ago, we were thinking like maybe he gets some work, maybe he doesn't, but he's a stud. Bruce posted the thing in Discord like he always does, the video, and he's just a stud. So he's going to play. And on a day like this, where we have a lot of elite plays in my mind at running back, especially, I'm not going to waste plays on mediocre plays today.
It makes a lot of sense overall. Mangone, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's a good game. I kind of agree with some of what Big T's saying. I mean, Bruce brings up a good point with Rodriguez. If you want to take a shot in tournament, sure. But like Big T said, running back's loaded. So I just don't see myself really loading up on this game. It's a good slate. And there's like a lot of just mispriced guys. If I'm hand building a team and the last guy in is Rodriguez, and like I feel comfortable with it, and I just like his upside, and he's like the low owned guy around the chalk. Sure, I don't hate it, but I'm just not prioritizing him in my lineups.
Makes sense. So we can move on to the next game, Kansas State, Texas Tech. So yeah, last week, I didn't watch the full show. Obviously, it was in commute to the stadium, but I know that I mentioned to Snyder and Kurt, I did like
Sandbag comment number 5 of the show.
I did like Donovan Smith with Price and running back with the running back of the other team. I forgot the name. So I don't know if that got mentioned or not, but this week, however, I am way off Texas Tech. So to be clear, I was on this team last week. I thought the matchup was really good for them. I thought it was good for points. I thought the price made a lot of sense for the matchup, but I also like playing quarterbacks at home in this sport. I don't necessarily love targeting quarterbacks on the road unless their price is just way off. So yeah, I'm off Texas Tech today. And I thought Miles Price had that breakout game last week. To me, this could be his go back to the way he's been playing this season type of game. And he's priced the same. I just don't like the spot at all. They priced Bradley up higher now. So yeah, Texas Tech is not going to be, not going to have any components for me that I'm on. This is a good spot for Adrian Martinez. However, I don't like the price. So it's a complete fade for me. As we often say, it's always about upside. So I don't think Martinez at this price, you're paying this price for a quarterback. To me, they need, 40-point upside with the matchup. I know Adrian Martinez is coming off one of his best games of his career. However, this game just doesn't feel like a game where he could go 40 burger in, especially since Deuce Vaughn, who's a play I really like today. This makes sense to be a Deuce Vaughn game. Now, the tough part with this offense is when they get to the goal line, of course, Martinez can swipe touchdowns from Vaughn, but this just has the makings of a Kansas State takes a small lead or bigger and just runs the ball from that point on. And Vaughn's always heavily involved in this offense. From a game script perspective, he's also independent because he catches passes. At 7,200, I like the price a lot. The problem is, and we'll talk to the slate in multiple spots, there's just a lot of cheap running backs on this slate, which make it tough to love Vaughn. We'll love Vaughn, if you will. But yeah, definitely gonna have Vaughn ownership today, but he's likely going to be the only guy in this entire game that I have exposure to. But Mangone, I'll start with you in this game. Anything poke out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Deuce Vaughn does stick out as like a good play. Not this guy that like I'm slamming onto my lineups, but like if you look at this top end running back range, there's a lot of good ones, but like between like Ibrahim's like I think one of the best always almost every week, but like between like Braylon Allen, Gibbs, Gray, Chase Brown, like I could see myself like ignoring that like 8 and 7K range and starting with like Deuce Vaughn at 7.2. And then those good running backs you talk about are all in that like 5 and 6K range, high 4. So overall, I think Deuce Vaughn ends up coming in as like a really good play that I want to get exposure to. But I'm not like, I'm not like slamming on my teams. I'm not like hitting the lock button. 7.2 is a heftier price tag than some of these other guys that I think will have more ownership at running back. Like I think people go to a Chain and they go to Brock. I think those are like the two guys that gain the most ownership at running back. And then it comes in as I think Vaughn, really good play, someone I'm going to get exposure to, but I do prefer the 6 and 5K values to the 7K guys. And if it like has to do with like Brown, Gray, Allen, Gibbs, and all them, like give me Vaughn over them. I think he's the way better play overall there. And I like that he's a pass catcher too. And he fits game stacks pretty well. If you want to go with Donovan Smith with a Miles Price, pair that up with like a Deuce Vaughn for cheap. Like overall, that's like a pretty cheap stack that you can get to that I think is an interesting skinny stack that you can go with.
Cool. Bruce, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, I like Deuce Vaughn a good amount. I have him in my my main lineup at the moment. Just great price, and this Texas Tech defense is kind of sneaky good though. But I do think he can score a couple times through the air. I kind of disagree with you on Martinez a little bit. I did like the way he ran the football last week. If he runs it like this, like he did last week, this week, which he can, I think possibly he can score 40 or so, just because of the pace Texas Tech goes with. Possibly can score better than some of the other weeks and look like less. But I pretty much want to stay away from the Texas Tech side. KSU wants to slow it down a little bit, and don't like anything on the Tech side really. Price can be okay, just as a PPR guy, but
what do you think Martinez's ownership at, Bruce, today?
I don't think it'll be crazy. Probably about 10% or so. So not...
if he's that low, it does make sense to have a lineup with him. Definitely, if you're making a lineup with him, though, I definitely don't include Vaughn. And that's the problem with today's slate, right? Like, so I'm trying to pick quarterbacks that I can at least safely pair with receivers. There's so many of these dudes on this slate in particular that you just feel a lot more comfortable playing naked. I mean, as you look up and down the slate of these guys. Even a guy Daniels, when we get to him, is going to be super popular. And even if you're really trying to get ballsy, Travis from Florida State, these are all guys with rushing upside that actually you could play Wilson with him, but Martinez, you don't feel comfortable playing any receiver with him, right, Bruce?
No. That's the tough one. Like Brooks, I guess you could play with him, but yeah, I don't want any part of that. The thing you have to think about with Martinez too is, is he going to outscore some of these 8K running backs? Like a Gibbs or a Braylon Allen, someone in that range. It's close, so yeah, it's a tough sell. I have him in my GPP core at the moment too, so something I got to think about before lock here. But I don't mind him.
And Tony, how you approaching this game? This game obviously has some pieces to it, but anything you love in it?
Yeah, I just I had my player pool up on Run Pure earlier. It was up early doing that, but Dunkel just talked me out. I got to follow Dunkel's lead to the winner's circle, so I kind of agree. I had some of these Texas Tech receivers in. Maybe I was going to play your boy from last week, but I took him out. It looks more like a Deuce Vaughn. I agree with the home statement. Like, home field means more in college than probably any sport. Well, college basketball too, it means a ton, but it's just a huge home field advantage. So yeah, I don't need anything. I watched the K-State game pretty close last week because I bet the other way and got owned. And I don't know. K-State looks pretty good. I could see them pounding Texas Tech here a little bit. The more I kind of played it out in my head. So for me, it's just going to be Deuce Vaughn. I mean, you can play Martinez, but how many times is this guy him and Baby Tua have cost me so much damn money in good spots that oh God, they're so bad. And you look at Martinez the first 3 weeks, 12 points, 15 and 15 versus pretty bad teams. The Oklahoma game, Oklahoma was so terrible last week. I bet them. I bet big on them actually, and just never had a chance to win, like ever. Like, just, I don't know what happened, because I forget who Oklahoma played 2 weeks ago, but they looked incredible. They looked like their defense was back. Who'd they play, Bruce?
Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska. They looked like they were back. That says a lot for Nebraska too, how bad Nebraska is. But it looked like they were back. And then all of a sudden, Adrian Martinez just goes nutty on them. They just can't stop him. He even looked decent throwing the ball. I don't know what happened to Oklahoma, but I'm back on K-State here. And Deuce Vaughn, though, I love Deuce Vaughn. And the way the roster's set up today, I'm actually different than Mangone. I want to go up for some guys, like, as we go. I won't name them all as we go through. We'll get to them, but some of the high-priced running backs with good volume that people might not play as much, I'm going to be getting some of those guys today.
I think just to pick up on that Tech call from last week, I forgot where I saw it, but apparently with the way the fourth quarter win share was for Texas Tech, like, it was like the most improbable win of the season as it relates to fourth quarters, with, I guess, between yardage, turnovers, the whole bit. So that Tech win felt outright win felt a little blah, which, I don't want people to overreact coming into this week, but yeah, home road means a hell of a lot in college. Forget the 3-point swing in from a spread perspective in one direction or the other. Players just often play much better at home in this sport. It's not like the NFL in that respect. TCU Oklahoma, obviously a big matchup in relation to this slate. It's a big matchup, and I would say that I don't think this would be as big a matchup if there weren't all these price issues, but you of course come to expect price issues with this sport. This is another quarterback, right? So Duggan figures to be somewhat popular, I'd assume. But who do you pair him with, right? And it's not like he's running. So, like, this is, look, obviously the SMU coach comes over to TCU. I'm blanking on his name, Sonny Dykes, and their quarterbacks for his offenses usually don't run as often. And Duggan, we know, has that run upside, but he just hasn't been running. So when you look at his price at 6,700 and the fact that you really can't safely pair him with a receiver you trust, I just don't love the spot. I mean, Bruce, before I talk a little further in this game, what do you see in Duggan's projected ownership at?
Let's see. Duggan, probably around 10% as well, somewhere around that Martinez range.
Okay. So to me, obviously, it doesn't make it a terrible option at that price or, at that ownership projection in terms of the numbers. But again, I look at a guy that you're really going to have to hope gets there through the air, which he could. And obviously he had the big game against whatever it was, the D2 school or D1 school. I don't know. Like I feel more comfortable playing Miller from the TCU side at running back. And it goes back to the kind of the narrative of the show. There's a lot of cheap running backs. So I'd rather play him than anybody else on the TCU side in this game. I don't even understand what's going on with their wide receiver core. They have dudes that are like were really talented coming out of high school, and yet they're just playing everybody instead. They're using this mix and match deal. Sykes has usually had a one or two offensive guys he could trust on a week-to-week basis in his systems. It looks like they're just very scattered right now, and maybe one of these guys wins you a GPP today. But man, if you're going to go that dart route, you're going to waste a lot of lineups doing so because you're just going to go to one off a bunch of these dudes. So no, I don't like that approach, and so I'm going to be underweight on Duggan. I'll have one lineup with him. And you guys kind of convinced me to maybe have one lineup with Martinez to protect myself. So maybe I'll actually scratch my Duggan lineup for Martinez because I'm not high on Duggan. I don't think he has enough upside at this price. I know the matchup is going to mean they're going to have to keep scoring. On the Oklahoma side, it's like I said, I don't like playing studs on the road at peak prices. Dylan Gabriel's in a really good spot here. And TCU hasn't played really any big offenses, and they've still been giving up a lot of points. You would figure Oklahoma scores a lot today. But again, it's hard to trust these types of offenses and studs on the road at these prices. You're not getting discounts on anybody. Like Eric Gray's price where he should be. Now I'd argue Major's overpriced. Mims is never an option in your head-to-heads or cash games because he's just very volatile. But the only good part with Mims is he can't be projecting a lot of ownership today. Bruce, what's Mims projected at?
Yeah, he's about 15% or so.
I can't even believe it's that high.
Yeah, I can't either.
Like everybody's going to play Hutchinson.
The crazy thing about Mims is his snap percentage has gone way up. Like beginning of the year it was like 50-60%. Now he's around 90% last week. So that's good to see, especially if you're going to play him in GPPs.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. I'm definitely gonna have a few Gabriel Mims lineups just because of all the pricing mismatches. But I don't love it. I don't love it because again, I try to stay to a baseline in this sport of not playing studs on the road at peak prices. And these guys are peak priced, but you have cheap options everywhere, which opens the door for other options. Bruce, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, the TCU wide receiver position is rough for me. It's either Johnston or Savion Williams. The other guys are just just not enough snaps there to have any upside. I do like Miller, as you said. This Oklahoma rush defense has been not good. I think their defensive line has given up about 3.5 line yards, which has to be close to bottom on the slate. So I could see TCU just pounding them on the ground. TCU did that to Colorado in their first game. And yeah, I can see them doing that here as well. I like Mims. If you're playing Miller, just run Mims back in there. He's a solid play, and maybe throw Gabriel in there too. But yeah, for such a high total game, I don't have as much interest as I feel like I should.
Big T, what is your thoughts on a game like this? Because I do feel like this is the type of game you like to target, a game with one of the highest total. I think it is the highest total on the slate, yet it's really just not going to see the ownership it warrants because of the pricing. How are you approaching this game?
Dunkel knows me too well. As the host, he's calling out all my moves here. But like in normal teams, so every week, just so people know that don't watch every week, I'll play 150 teams like in whatever the big tournament is, and that'll kind of be just my throw it in there. And then I'll have 5 main teams. At least that's what I've been playing, 5 main teams. And one of my main teams for sure will be a game stack of this game. I mean, you got a 70 total and you got a bunch of pieces that aren't going to be high owned that could totally shoot out. So will I have these pieces? Like I'm not playing Dugan and Gabriel in like my main like 150 builds where I throw it in the optimizer. I don't want a lot of these pieces in that outside of like Gray and Mims because they're studs. I mean, today's slate, you got a couple 3K guys that are really good plays. So you got room for studs. So Gray and Mims, not together though. Like make sure you set rules in the optimizer when you're building teams. I don't want Gray and Mims on any of my teams, especially on the road, as Dunkel's saying. but I'm okay with either one of them. They both have tons of upside. You wouldn't think Oklahoma's going to lose 2 in a row, but they did look terrible last week. So never know. The good part about Oklahoma game stacks too is the rest of the team just won't be owned. So I know these receivers are super unreliable, like Theo Weiss, Farouk, Willis, all these guys are crazy unreliable, but you just don't know. That's the fun part about game stacks in college. Sometimes they just shoot out like none other, and some weird guys will go off. So that's why I like game stacking in college. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, you got all your main group of teams too to kind of catch you up. So sometimes it'll be like all your main teams suck and your one little game stack ships it all and you make money. And then you can come on like Dunkel and be like, well, I lost 149 teams, but the one team, it just happened to win. I got lucky. That's what Dunkel says when he does it. So I like that. And I mean, TCU, Quentin Johnson came into the year as a stud. He's been horrendous, like more than horrendous. I don't have his game logs up, but I don't think he's even got double digits yet. But he's 6,500, and one of them's coming eventually. So definitely in game stacks, I'll have Quentin Johnson, and in some regular teams, I'll leave him in my main pool. And Dugan, I'm not going to play him. Tay Barber, I don't know why. I think it's because he shipped us a couple slates over the years. I just always want to play him. I don't know why. He hasn't been good. He really wasn't even good last year, except the one slate he shipped for us. So
3K Tay Barber. Yeah.
He's so bad though. Like I sometimes we let the guys that treat us right just to make our player pool more than they should. But in a game stack, I don't hate it. Like Dugan, Quentin Johnson, Tay. I mean, that's what you want. You want to overstack a game. And in college, we've seen it every week. When you get this 50-47 game or something, people don't game stack. So you're just so far out there. But yeah, in my normal builds though, not much from this game.
Mangone, what about you? What do you like in this game? What do you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, for one, Marvin Mims, obviously a good spend up option you can go to. I'm not a huge Eric Gray guy. I think there's better running backs I'd rather go to, so I doubt I get too much to him. I do think the Gabriel Mims stack is interesting. And like with everyone playing Xavier Hutchinson on this slate, what if you played Dylan Gabriel, Marvin Mims, and Quentin Johnson? Like that right there makes your team different. Like, and you pair it up with Dugan in a stack, that right there is a really good route that you can go with for sure. And then just mix in all these value plays that we have on this slate. So there's definitely ways to make good game stacks with this one. I think it's one to get exposure to. And Marvin Mims is someone that, like, if you faded Xavier Hutchinson, like that's a great guy to go and spend more on to make your lineup different. That could easily break the slate. Like, yeah, Xavier Hutchinson could go for like 18 or 20, but will that be enough when Marvin Mims drops like 38 or 40? That's the thing you can do to be a little bit different. So love Marvin Mims in this spot. Probably my favorite play from this game.
Cool. Moving
Why does
on.
no one like Eric Gray?
I think he sucks.
So it's a borderline timeshare. I'd say at best it's what 60-40 with him and Major. And the price, look, the problem is there's so many mouths to feed on this team that Gray could get there. You're at that price with this.
He got 26 last week without a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean at this price. But did that game? Is that the game? Did Oklahoma go to overtime?
I don't think it went over. No, it didn't go overtime.
No, thinking of it
Because they sucked. I hated Oklahoma.
I can't play every running back, Tony. Like you just.
Well,
can't.
I know, but like if you're playing 150, like I am,
Oh,
or
yeah,
you're playing
yeah.
any decent amount, like
You're playing 150. He should be.
these are the guys that ship though. Like no one's gonna play him. Everyone hates Eric Gray. Like no one's playing him.
He's a lot like Gibbs on Alabama.
Yeah, and I love both of them today. It's funny you say that. Like
once they fall behind, they're going to smash because they're going to throw the football to those guys, those two. So if you play that game script, then that's a solid play. Sure. Gibbs
is the same exact play when we get to it. Like he's got some monster games and no one likes him. And everybody that I hear is like, man, he's been bad this year. And I look at his stats. And again, sometimes it helps me with college to not like be totally piped into stuff because I just look at the numbers more. So even game logs, like if I pull up a guy and they just crushed all 4 games and people are like saying they're not good plays, that's when I want to dig in and just play them. So yeah.
All right. All right, so we can move on to the next game. So Purdue, Minnesota. So yeah, this is one of my favorite games of the slate. And to be clear, it's one of my favorite games
This
because
is why your ass ships. This is one of your favorite games of the slate. Purdue freaking Minnesota.
yeah. So one of my favorite games of the slate, primarily because of pricing. So say this every week. This sport, as it is with all DFS, the sport is all about pricing. To me, this game is very easy to stack because you can just play McConnell. And here's the thing: like I said a few weeks ago on O'Connell, that I completely faded him, or nearly. I think I completely faded him when he was 7,500 against Syracuse because I said he has no upside at that price. This dude's 5,700 today. That completely changes the game for me. And Minnesota's defense has been really good, but they're like Fugazi good. They're going to see a real offense today. O'Connell comes back. His price is 5,700. I don't need him to be a rock star at this price. To me, this dude's floor in this matchup's 20. If he plays the whole game, and obviously he could re-aggravate an injury or whatnot, but and it's easy. You just pair him with Charlie Jones, who's also mispriced. So yeah, I think that everybody respects, or a lot of people respect this Minnesota defense. I don't, not yet anyway. I want to see this team play an actual offense and how they do. They're a big favorite today, which I think also might push people off Purdue. But again, I played prices, and O'Connell and Jones is a really nice stack today, and it's very easy to run it back with Ibrahim. Pricing is super soft today, so I'll be honest, I don't love Ibrahim in this spot, but especially at this price. But I mean, the dude's floor on a weekly basis is 20. He's going to get sped up today by Purdue. I'm hoping that they don't exchange hands because the backup running back has been seeing, I think, double-digit touches in 3 straight games, something like that. He's been involved. But yeah, so at pricing, I'm going to be heavy on O'Connell, going to be heavy on Charlie Jones, and I'm going to be heavier than I more or less want to be on Ibrahim just because I need a run back, and I don't like any or trust anybody else in this Minnesota team. Let me just look real quick at my sheet. Yeah, nobody else on the Minnesota end that I feel comfortable playing. So yeah, I'm going to have a lot of O'Connell, a lot of Jones, a lot of run back with Ibrahim. Bruce, first of all, what are your thoughts there? And then what does Charlie Jones come in at today, ownership wise?
Yeah, I didn't expect you to like this game that much. It kind of threw me for a loop there. I think Charlie Jones should be 15%ish or so.
That's to me, that's crazy. Now, granted, look, Jones could flop today, but you're talking to a dude that's going to be targeted, especially with the game script. To me, he's going to be targeted 12 to 15 times today. One of the best receivers in D1, and you're getting him at 6,400. Like, everyone's going to play Hutchinson because it's in a better matchup. You can get a $1,400 savings, and to me, they have similar upside today. But yeah, anyway, sorry, carry on, Bruce.
Yeah, what about the tight end goat, Payne Durham? He's also probably going to see single digits as well.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, he's usually a guy I completely fade, but I agree with you in this spot. It's not crazy, especially to pair them both together. He's still cheap enough. It always feels like to me like Durham needs to score to get you there. And I don't like taking players that need that per se. I know he had the big game against Syracuse, but they went down a big amount. And also, if you remember, I don't know if you remember in that game, Charlie Jones went out for an entire quarter in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like his numbers are also a bit of a fugazi. So, yeah, but you bring up a good point. I guess I'll have to sneak him in, especially if I'm so high on O'Connell. It would be silly for me not to sneak in Durham in lineups. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Minnesota really hasn't played anybody. Michigan State, probably the best team they've played, and they demolished them at Michigan State. So, I mean, that's solid. They haven't allowed many pass completions. I think they're like 50% completion percentage. So, that could also be bolstered by their schedule. So, I kind of see your point there. Dylan Wright's kind of interesting for Minnesota. I think he's their most talented wide receiver that's left now that Ottman Bell's out. And yeah, I have tons of interest in Ibrahim today. I think he just runs for 150 and a couple touchdowns. So I'll have plenty of him. But yeah, my main lineup, that's where my exposure is.
Tony, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest, like I didn't really look at this game very close because I wasn't going to like it, but it reminds me of 2 weeks ago when you got me on the worst quarterback in the nation, Mr. Bo Nix, And whenever you like a game and then you make good points, like why would I not listen to someone that's had the most success this year of anyone playing these college tournaments? So yeah, I added O'Connell to the prize pool and it makes sense, right? 5,700. Same reasoning you gave for Bo Nix that day. The matchup, maybe the matchup isn't great, but the price is great. And choose price over spot. He's got clear route tree. Like I'm not playing the tight end. I think it's just a clear stack. O'Connell and Jones, Ibrahim, just run the three of them on a team. And these are like hand build teams that Uncle's great at, where he hand builds a couple of these teams and then throws them in the higher stake stuff and they just destroy people because that's just a nice stack. You got two underpriced guys and an overpriced guy. Like Ibrahim's probably overpriced if you meet them all in the middle, but all of them are capable of stud performances. And it makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I added O'Connell to my player pool. And I always love Charlie Jones. The chat's freaking out saying he's going to be 50%. Probably won't be 15 either. I mean, he's a good play. It doesn't really matter. I think people worry a little bit too much about stuff like that. Worry about roster construction over stuff like that, especially in college. He's a great play. He's not going to be 50. Like, sure, in cash, we don't talk about cash on this show as much. Like, maybe in cash he's 50. He'll probably be 25, 30%. He's a good play. Don't worry about it though. Like, just play him. I was going to play. He was the one guy in this game I was going to play, but the little 3-man stack makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and it goes without saying. There's an extra risk with O'Connell, and yeah, my day will be over if O'Connell re-aggravates an injury. I will have to look at my scores because I'll have a lot of O'Connell. But yeah, at the price, to me, if he plays 4 quarters, his floor is 20 if he plays 4 quarters. Mangone, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I like Charlie Jones going into this. I mean, his price is just too cheap. So like if you like spent up for him, like it is going to give you like some kind of, I mean, I guess the salary is a little loose, but there's just so many value wide receivers. That's why Charlie Jones will get lost in the shuffle. I mean, this is one of the best value wide receiver weeks that we've seen. So overall, think he's a great play. Pair him with Ibrahim, not a bad way to go. You have so much value that you're able to do that. And yeah, the O'Connell take is definitely not bad, Dunkel. I added him to the pool. I got to work with it a little bit to get him in there, but do you think you brought up good points about his price tag?
Cool. So let's move forward to the next game, Wisconsin, Illinois. It's a really ugly game. Hopefully we don't spend too much time on it. The way I'm approaching this game is I have some Braylon Allen. I don't love that I do. The reason I have some Braylon Allen instead of 0 Braylon Allen is because of all the cheap options everywhere. Once again, if pricing was a little tighter, I would have 0 Braylon Allen, but I am able to spread things out a bit. On the Wisconsin side, on the Illinois side, I don't like Chase Brown at all today. I know when, we talk about price and whatnot. So this dude sees a price spike and he's in his toughest matchup of the year. I just don't love it. Chase Brown can get you there. He's probably going to be lower owned. He's going to be much lower owned than he normally would on a slate. And you don't have too many of these workhorse running backs left in college football. But yeah, complete avoid spot for me on Chase Brown. Wisconsin's super tough. This game is going to slug. On the Wisconsin side, though, I already mentioned Allen, and I don't mind Bell. Let me just see what his price is. Bell. So Skylar Bell at 3,800, I don't mind. But again, as you navigate the slate more and more, you will feel more comfortable with better options like Ben Sims in this price range, which we'll get to. But I don't love anything in this game. I can't even say I'll be underweight because I don't think anybody's going to be overweight in this game. But Bruce, anything you like in this game at all?
No, just the running back, Allen, and possibly some Isaiah Williams low ownership if you want a deep cut there. But yeah, other than that, I don't want much of this game. It's gonna get ugly for sure.
Big T, Mangone, maybe collectively I'll let you go so we could maybe move past this game. Anything either you like in this one?
Allen or bust for me. I'll let Tony go.
Yeah, so hold on one second. I like Isaiah Williams, 6,600. He got a bunch of work last week. Let me see, what was his final numbers? Like no one's gonna play him at all. Last week he went 9 for 103. I know it was a weak matchup, but I don't know. I like just sprinkling these guys in the player pool in my 150, not on my main teams by any means, but I just like these guys that have flashed a little bit of upside. When I know Wisconsin's going to try to stop the run, obviously, I don't know. I just have a feeling about Isaiah Williams as a sneaky play today. He's definitely not going to be a main piece without a doubt, but I'm just saying if you're playing 10, 20 teams, don't be afraid to sprinkle guys like that because they're what get you to the chalk plays get you in position to ship, the really good chalky plays, but the lower owned gems get you to the top. And I think Isaiah Williams is a pretty sneaky play today, but I'm with you guys on the rest of the game.
Cool. Navy Air Force. I think we could even be quicker on this one. Navy, I know that they price these guys super low, but no, nothing I feel comfortable at all playing there. I think on the Air Force end, if you are looking to be a little different, I think you can sprinkle Eldridge into your lineups. This dude is a low volume firecracker. If he gets a few more touches, this dude could break a slate. Brian Roberts obviously gets the bulk of the touches, but not even close to the explosiveness that Eldridge brings to the table. Navy's not very good. This game will super slug. Air Force, this is not a great spot for Air Force. I mean, obviously I don't mind if Air Force is playing a fast-paced team in terms of targeting their running backs, but these guys are going to see absolutely no ownership today. I don't mind Eldridge. Outside of that, it's a stay away spot for me. Bruce, similar thoughts?
Yeah, I think Navy had about 100 total yards last season in this matchup. So I do echo your thoughts on Eldridge. I think he's probably their best natural tailback, but I just can't play anybody from this game.
I'll do this game with you two co-opt, man. Going Big T. I don't think there's anything to love in this game at all, but what are your guys' thoughts?
Definitely nothing for me.
Yeah, Bruce, is there a 5'8" like fast lacrosse player playing for Navy?
No, I don't think. I mean, there could be, but I haven't dug deep enough to even find out.
Yeah, that's a callback to when we rostered a dude that was apparently really fast and was the same literally build as me. He was 5'8", 170 pounds, and he got hurt. So no, we're not playing anyone from Navy.
Awesome. So Bama and Arkansas.
What about my Michigan game? You skipping us?
Did I? Did Michigan be at 12?
Yeah.
You kind of said it, and then you moved on, and then you went back. You must not have liked it.
Terrible on my half. So Michigan, Iowa. This game, obviously, Blake Corum will see ownership. You can even place Laporta on the wide receiver end for Iowa. I'll be honest, I don't love Corum in this spot at all. It looks like Edwards is going to play as well. And Iowa will be the best defense, I believe, Michigan's seen this year. Could be wrong. Oh, definitely the best defense they've seen this year. And you get Michigan on the road. I don't know. Before I even say what I'm about to say, which is going to be I'm underweight on Corum. What is his ownership going to be at, Bruce?
Less than 10, I think.
It's going to be low. Okay, and that's because of Edwards being in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and because the defense is good.
Well, I think I know it sounds silly. I think if Edwards was out and you could have expected 25 plus touches from Corum, I would have figured his would have seen better ownership. But anyway, yes, very underweight for me on Corum. And this game is an easy dodge spot for me. McCarthy obviously has that rushing upside, but again, you're getting this good defense. McCarthy looked like shit against a bad defense last week. I can't trust any of these receivers from Michigan, even though they're priced. They're getting lower and lower, which is great. I mean, Roman Wilson at 4,400 to me is kind of crazy, but it's hard to trust McCarthy running this offense as he's more of a dual threat versus a pure passer that McNamara is. Ronnie Bell's a decent price as well, but all around easy fade spot again for me in this game. Big T, since you were the one that reminded me of the game, anything you want to talk on?
I only brought it up just because I think people get lazy, and I'm not even talking about you guys. Sometimes I'm trolling, I'm not trolling, but just across, you hear the same narrative everywhere. Like everyone talks about Corum, the guy's back. They're going against a tough defense. It's a low total. These are the spots that have shipped for me in college a ton, where you play the stud running back at no ownership, and they just have so much upside that it's almost the same reasoning you gave me for the Purdue guys, where it's just low owned. It could pop off. And I have a feeling about Corum. I just think, I mean, last week I get the guys out. Believe me, I get it. But I know how Michigan is. The dude got 30 carries. It was their first close game. He went 30 for 243 and 2 touchdowns, 39 fantasy points. I get that the guy's back. I get it. This is more of a field play than anything. But Harbaugh is their only their close game. How do we know he's not going to get 20 plus carries? I kind of think coming off a game like that, Harbaugh likes to kind of pound. We've seen it in the past too. They had 2 guys last year. I don't remember both their names, but Haskins and whoever it was. People watching the show know the 2 running backs. As the year went, the one guy kind of took over more, and the other guy was kind of a PPR type spot. I just think Corum's super sneaky today. No one's going to play him. And I just have a feeling he could pop off in this spot. Iowa's always fake tough to me. They're always like play slow, and they do decent versus bad teams. They stuff the run, and then they face a real team like Michigan, and Michigan just runs all over them. And I don't know, just a field play, but no one's going to play him. His price is good, 6,500. I'm playing Corum.
Love it. Can't mind it. Mangone. Similar thoughts to Tony on Corum or fade?
I mean, Corum's fine, but like I'm not prioritizing.
Corum is not a Mangone play. There's no way you're playing him.
I mean, he's in consideration, but
no way he ends up on your team.
He's in the pool.
You're way more volume based than Corum. You're not getting Corum in there.
I mean, when I run it, we'll see if I need more running backs. I'll go up on him like someone I know says. You go up on the guys you like, you go down on them. I'm gonna go up if I need some more running back plays. So he's fine for me.
Give him a little sprinkle for me, man. Go just a little hit, just a little sprinkle for the kids.
All right, I will. I'll go into the pool right now, and guys that I'm making sure to get exposure to, I'm putting a 5 next to. Right?
Yeah, give him a little courtesy 5 ball.
Yeah, I'll put the 5 next to him, so that way I don't forget it. Right? It's like nothing's worse than being like.
It happens in college too. You'll forget guys if you don't make a note or do something.
Yeah, nothing's worse than like Marvin Mims like rips one to start the game. He's like a 60-yard bomb, and you're like, oh man, Marvin Mims, I'm in great shape. And like you look and you have 0. You're like, what just happened? And you're tilted. So
yeah, there's so much scoring. You got to set manual things when you're building college.
Bruce, thoughts on this game?
Very minimal interest. I watched most of the Michigan game last week because I played Corum, and yeah, he looked really good. I just think the Iowa rush defense is much better than the Maryland rush defense, and I didn't like the way JJ McCarthy looked. I was hoping that he would look great, but yeah, he's very hesitant back there, and this is a much better defense than what Maryland put out there last week. So yeah, very little interest. I don't think I'll have anybody. Nothing interests me.
Cool. So we got 6 games left. I would argue 5 of them are all juicy. Arkansas, Bama. Yeah, so another spot where you have a road team in Bama with these guys peaked price. I think that's a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's also a good thing in relation to Bryce Young's ownership today being lower, that you just can't trust receivers in this core. They're using a bunch of them. I think people might have thought Holden would have had a decent year. I mean, I don't know. You figure Ja'Cory Brooks was going to have a solid year, and he finally had his big game. But do you trust him moving forward off that? This offense is tough to trust in many ways. My favorite play, though, on the Bama side in this game is McClellan. Because of price, because of volume. I know that Gibbs seems to see the bulk of the work, but McClellan gets spelled in these games, and not just in the blowout portions either. He's taking carries in the first quarter of these games. So yeah, at the price, he's probably my favorite play of the slate. Does that mean I'm going to be overweight on him? No, I don't know what his ownership is going to be at. But Gibbs is an interesting play. It's an interesting pivot. I'll have 1 to 2 lineups with Gibbs in them, just because of his upside. Even at 8K, he still has upside. I don't think these receivers have true upside outside of Brooks at this price. And I do think it's very difficult to warrant playing Bryce Young at 9,900 in a game where, you're really hoping that he breaks a run somehow and he doesn't run often at this price. Because at this price on this slate, you more or less need him to outscore multiple people that are cheaper than him. So, and I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, easy fade spot for me. On the Arkansas side, this is normally a spot where I like to target home teams. I don't like what they did with the pricing. I don't think they trim these prices enough. I don't love Jefferson at 6,700 in this spot. I wish his price was like 6K or less, maybe 58, 5,900. If then I would have played him a decent amount, but it's all a numbers game. Raheem Sanders, excuse me. Again, I wish his price was a little cheaper, 6,100 in this matchup. I don't love it by any means. The volume should be there though. This is just a game I'm going to be very underweight on. I don't know how these people project in this game, but I just don't like the pricing at all in this game. So, Bruce, what is ownership looking like in this game, and where's your head at for it?
I think some of the Bama receivers will be decently owned, but it's rough. Gibbs should see some ownership as well. I do like your call on McClellan. Nobody's going to play him. He's probably going to be unowned most tournaments. So I don't mind that at all. I think if you play Bryce Young, you're probably playing a couple of receivers, and it's really tough to pick a couple there. Burton played well last week. Brooks looked great, but only played like 40% of the snaps. They just rotate too much lately. I think they're trying to figure it out. And I could see you playing like a Matt Landers at 3,200. He's in for the whole game, and he's pretty explosive. So if they're trailing, I think that's a good solid value play there.
Cool. Big T. Where's this game land for you on your radar?
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Oklahoma game for me, where I could definitely see a game stack in this spot. Bryce Young, I'm going to play him. I like him. I like the overpriced guys. We got two locks at 3K today, so I want studs in there. I don't need these mid-range guys. I love Bryce Young, and I think you could even play him with Gibbs if it falls in the right script, where you just get so much of the offense. Like you could run a Bryce Young, Gibbs, Ja'Cory Brooks. I love Ja'Cory Brooks too. So he wasn't very good the first couple weeks. They alternate. He only played 40% of snaps. All the stuff. I get it. And I just liked him last year. He was super talented. He kind of went in the national title game when the other dude got hurt. I just like him, and I think we could see him pop off. The 5K price tag is too cheap for him, I think, and literally no one's going to play him really. So I think people will, I mean, how could you play anyone named Holden over Ja'Cory Brooks? I mean, I'd play our Holden maybe, but not any other dude named Holden. I don't know. Arkansas, I like Arkansas more than you guys. I don't think this Bama defense is as good as it was. KJ Jefferson at 6,700 gives you a little rushing. They got guys you can stack up for cheap. I mean, they got 3,200 Landers, 3,300 Knox, 3,500 Jackson. Yeah, these guys aren't like floor play. That's what I love about college. So many people like go for the safe median plays, and that's why Dunkel does so good, because he plays aggressively, low own price spots, doesn't necessarily worry about totals and like these volume mid-range plays. So that's why I like how Dunkel plays college, and it's why he wins. I don't worry as much about floor as other people. So I don't know. You can definitely stack up this spot. Even Raheem Sanders, I think no one's going to play him. He's 6,100 against Bama. So I don't know. This game's exactly like the Oklahoma game for me. I don't totally love it. Like, I'm not playing any Arkansas guys outside of a game stack. Like, I'm not just running KJ Jefferson without Bryce Young the other way. Like, I'm setting a rule in there even. No KJ Jefferson unless Bryce Young's in there. Unless I make an error, you won't see that. So I don't know, though. I can see this game shooting out. I think Arkansas had a bad game last week, but they're better than people think. And I think Bama is kind of worse than people think. So I think we could see it meet in the middle today. I know the spread's like 17, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas plays them pretty tough. And if this game stays close, I mean, Bryce Young, the thing in college, like if you give me a 25, 30-point floor, which I think he's got, if the game stays close, he just nukes. That's the type of play I love. I could easily have him with, like I said, him with Ja'Cory would be that's in contention for a main build for me. Bryce Young, Ja'Cory. stack.
Yeah, like I said, I can't mind Arkansas in this spot. This is normally a spot where I would target a team like Arkansas. This just really feels like an Alabama throat punch spot to me. With that said, obviously, if I think that you figured I'd have more Alabama exposure, but the pricing is just not ideal for me. But no, I can't mind it at all. I think Arkansas is going to come in super low owned. And yeah, look, we know the upside of some of these dudes. They could easily go for 30, 40 if the script plays out properly. Mangone, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, I mean, Big T said before with Corum, he likes him like Gibbs. That means I got to get a little sprinkle of him, right? I gotta sprinkle old Gibbs in there. I thought he brought up great points with Ja'Cory Brooks, right? A lot of people are going to Holden and Burton, but like Brooks is a solid play for cheap, and he's not gonna have any ownership. So, and one more point that Big T brought up that I thought was really good is like there's so much value on this. Like it is hard to get. It's not hard to get the Bryce Young, but a lot of people won't end up doing it because of it. So I do think you brought up some really good points. If I do a run back on Arkansas, it's likely going to be Landers at his price tag. He just seems too cheap, and he helps like make that build work in order to go up and grab a Young. So overall, it's a good game. It's not my favorite game on the slate, but I'm going to try to get some exposure to it. And KJ Jefferson, I mean, he's not going to be owned at all. We know what his rushing upside can be. So don't completely sleep on a guy like KJ Jefferson. I mean, he can rip an 80-yard touchdown on any play. So always be on the lookout for that.
Cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll move on to the next game, Baylor, Oklahoma State. So this is another game that I like a lot. I do think that a lot of people will like this game a lot, though. So I don't think I'm anywhere in the clouds. I'd expect Braden Johnson to be very high owned on the slate. Look, obviously, I like to pick spots where I'm different, but at the same time, you know, on slates like this, you do have to eat the chalk in some ways. Braden Johnson just feels like one of the freest squares on the slate. Yeah, again, he could flake, but I'll just eat the chalk as it relates to him and his usage and the spot. So Spencer Sanders in this spot, obviously a guy I'm going to be overweight on. I do pick and choose when I'm overweight on road quarterbacks, though. Sanders is like just way underpriced, though, like way underpriced. So I don't even know why they priced him here. Like this is a dude that on a weekly basis should be high 7s, low 8s in terms of his rushing upside and his throwing. Baylor to me is blah at best as it relates to the Big 12. I know they've had a good start to the year, but I don't trust this team in many regards. It's a decent total. It's not super high. It's not super low. And again, it's like I said earlier, I hate to keep going down the same narrative path. I don't really want to play a lot of quarterbacks naked. I don't like to play quarterbacks naked in general. And I think the way a lot of lineups are going to construct is you're going to find yourself with one or two quarterbacks in your flex and super flex that you have with no wide receiver pairs. Guys like Sanders, O'Connell, it's easy who to pair him with. So yeah, I like Sanders a lot. And my favorite run back is definitely Reese on the Baylor side. I have him in my core. I think you can also play Ben Sims at his price. I do like him a decent amount as well. So yeah, for me, I like that stack. On the Oklahoma State running back side, it's a complete fade spot for me. And I know that's tricky because Richardson does get a lot of volume and he could steal a lot of points from Sanders, or often gets a lot of volume anyway. And Oklahoma State hasn't truly been tested. So you're going to get 4 quarters of these guys, or should get 4 quarters of these guys today. So yeah, that's my take on the game. Overweight on Sanders. I'm going to still be overweight on Jones despite his high ownership. And Reese, let me ask you this, Bruce. What do you see Reese's ownership at running back?
It's going to be probably around 15. Yeah, it's a good spot for him too. So it's kind of low.
Yes, I'll be overweight there as well. And then overweight on Ben Sims. But Bruce, this game obviously figures to be popular all around. How are you approaching it?
I think it's good. I definitely like Sanders, like you said. Reese is a solid play. It's the Baylor wide receiver situation is tough to get on board with anybody there. I do like Chapin. I think his rushing upside is a little underrated. So and he's cheap, so you can easily slot him in there. But yeah, it's hard to pair him with any of these receivers. I have Braden Johnson in my main core right now, so I love him. His average depth of target is almost 20 yards, which if he's getting 9 targets a game, that's just too hard to pass up at that price. I think John Paul Richardson could also see some ownership. if for some reason Bray is out again, we haven't heard anything on him yet. But Jaden Bray at 3,100, if he starts, is also a good piece. Also, Brennan Presley hasn't done much this year, but last season he was a good player. He's priced up, so nobody's going to be on him. So if you build a stack, he's interesting there.
Cool, good stuff. Big T, how are you approaching this game? This to me, this doesn't feel like a Big T game because it
You
figures.
gotta stop just calling out you got me figured out. You got my builds figured out. You know I don't like this game. You've been dead on me the whole show, and it's getting uncomfortable. Braden Johnson, though, I have interest in him. Obviously, I love guys I can just plug in any lineup. Like Braden Johnson fits with literally any lineup. If I stack a game, I can put Braden Johnson in with it. Anywhere I go, I can put him. So one of the best plays of the slate, without a doubt. And Richard Reese isn't far behind it. So I love these games like this where I can have one play from each side, both underpriced, both really good spots, and they just fit so nicely with whatever else you do on the slate. You can kind of plug them both in together separate. They're just perfect fillers. And those are the only two I'm on, though. Definitely no one else in this game for me.
What about you, Mangone? How you looking at this game?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep it real simple, but like Johnson and Reese is like just like a good exposure just to one game for like a cheap price tag. I mean, you're getting like 15 to 20 carries with Reese. Brennan Johnson playing 100% of the snaps. I mean, his price is just stupid. So both really great plays. I'm not like stacking this game up. I think it's just better to get exposure that way. Just small pieces of it and good mix and match plays for your teams, right? If you play like a TCU Oklahoma stack, plugging in a Braden Johnson's chalk is perfectly fine there. It's a great way to go about your lineups.
Cool. Let's move on to the next game, which is, whoops, hold on. Hold, please. Having some computer trouble. Next game up is, imagine having a fast computer.
Iowa State and Kansas.
Okay. So this figures to be a fun one.
Yep.
Only my computer would help me out a little here. So yeah, until my stuff loads, I can easily talk on a few things on this game. The Daniel figures to be super popular, and they're home, which yes, this would be a spot I would love to play him. However, I'm afraid of his ownership here. What's he projected at, Bruce?
Around 30. Yeah, he's going to be the highest owned QB on the slate for sure.
Yeah, so that to me is scary because Sanders I like more at a cheaper price. So yeah, I'm going to have Daniel's exposure, but I'm going to be way underweight on the field. Because again, it's another quarterback that you don't feel comfortable pairing with a wide receiver, which to me limits your upside. You're more or less hoping on them spreading the wealth around perfectly to get you there and not lose equity upside in winning a tournament, or you're hoping their rushing upside gets there for you, which to me is another element of added variance. You're hoping to get a little best of both worlds with your quarterbacks on a weekly basis. I do wish his price was higher, but so that he would be less owned today, because I do think he definitely has break the slate potential. But you do have to take stands, especially when you're multi-entering. I'm going to be lower weight on him for sure. I don't mind at all Hishaw at 3,700. That's a complete misprice. There's just a lot more running backs that I trust in that 48 to 5,200 range. But yeah, Hishaw, I don't know what his ownership is going to come in at, but the dude is underpriced by about $500-600. So yeah, he's a good play. And if the people who are playing the Daniels lineups can't possibly be playing Hishaw with him. So, I think he's probably going to come in under what he should at that price. So yeah, I'll have exposure there. Luke Grimm to me is the only receiver worth playing on Kansas at the price. Arnold obviously has been good for this team, but the price just really lacks upside, in my opinion. On the Iowa State end, goes without saying, Hutchinson figures to be the most popular wide receiver on the slate. I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong there, Bruce.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's probably gonna be 50% or so.
Yeah, when I get to you. And Brock, running back for Iowa State, also figures to be popular. But again, I do have concerns about his price in this matchup with his upside. I think he's a great play, in your small builds of lineups. If you're playing 3 to 5 total entries, I think he's a great play because to me, he's very safe. I just worry about his upside. And Deckers, right? 5,800. I hate playing quarterbacks that have absolutely no rushing upside in a matchup that's not great. And I also, the good part is you compare him obviously with Hutchinson, which makes sense. I do worry about Decker's upside though. To me, his upside's probably 25 tops, which is okay, but at 5,800, it's not great. So yeah, I don't love that. I think I have one Decker's lineup total. I don't like anything else in this game though. Bruce, what are you thinking of this one?
I currently have Deckers in my main lineup. Pairing him up with Brock gets you all the scoring from the Iowa State side. I think that's a good way to start your cash lineup and single entry stuff as well. I like Brock a lot here. Just think that Kansas defense, their defensive line is not very good. They're giving up 36 points per game to running backs, and I think Brock should get most, if not all, of the carries. I do like your idea with Hishaw as well, 3,700. He has 4 touchdowns on the ground this year and should see about half of the snaps, and very low ownership, not even 1% probably. One of the receivers I like from the Kansas side is Quentin Skinner, 3,400. If you're playing Daniels, he's looked good the last few weeks and should see most of the snaps. On the Iowa State side, Hutchinson, of course, is going to be that dude today. If you want a sneaky guy, Dimitri Stanley, the Colorado transfer, has been starting and seen about 80% of the snaps as well. Should see like 4 to 6 targets. I think he's really talented.
Cool, good stuff. Tony, how you approaching this game?
So just a quick note, as they posted in the Discord, give a freebie. If you're not in the Rump Here Discord, better sign up. You're missing out. As we get into NBA season too, you're going to want to be in Discord. Tons of good info, tons of sharp people. Even the people that aren't associated, just flat out members are sharp in there. So you want to be in there. But Marcus Major not seen stretching with Oklahoma, which would make my man Eric Gray even a better play for me. They're talking about like who the next stringer would be, but I'm not worried about that. I would like Eric Gray even more if Major obviously was not in there. So I think take note of that. Those are the big things in college that make a huge difference, that if you're in the Discord, you get that late news, you can bump a guy up a little bit. It makes a big difference. So back to this game, I haven't disagreed fully with Dunkel very often, but man, Jalen Daniels looks like a smash to me. He has totally smashed every week, and he's got the rushing. He just looks like a college, just absolute tank monster to me watching him. And I know Iowa State's been known for like a good D. I'm not sold though. 3-point spread, 59 total. He's gone for 35 a game this year. His only bad game was against Tennessee Tech. Every other game that's been remotely close, he's gone for 30 plus. I am definitely loading the wagons with him today. And I actually like not having to stack him with someone in this spot. Although I don't mind Graham. You could put Graham with him, but I don't mind it because of how many other like really good off the wall spots we have today. Like you could play the team we talked about earlier, like Dunkel's, even O'Connell, Ibrahim, who's Charlie Jones, obviously, and then go down to Daniels, and then you just plug all the best plays in the middle of that. And I really like that type of build. As far as even like my main team, I could do something like that. So love him. And then Iowa State has the 2 best plays on the slate on the same team, Hutchinson and Brock. So what do you do when the 2 best plays of the slate are a running back and a receiver? And I mean, Deckers has to get ownership too, just because the other 2 are so high owned that I don't honestly know. Like, it's against Kansas. I think we see some points. I don't really know how to handle it. They're both going to be crazy owned. I mean, they both might be 50% owned, Hutchinson and Brock. And in college, sometimes it's good to fade that spot, but man, there's so much volume for these guys. Hutchinson's going to get 15 targets or something crazy, and Brock gets all the work and he's 5,400. So I honestly don't know how I'm going to handle it, but I'll just throw it out there that they're the two best plays of this slate, and the quarterback is underpriced. So do what you want. If you're really contrarian in other spots, I would say play it. If you're super chalky in other spots, maybe you fade one of the two, or you could set a rule in all your teams just to play Hutchinson or Brock, not both of them together. Me, on the other hand, I have a harder time with it because I love Jalen Daniels. If I love Jalen Daniels, I got just a nice correlation going together. So I like it a lot, though.
Yeah, I want to be clear. Daniels is a great play. I weigh him against Sanders, and to me, him and Sanders have similar upside today. Sanders is cheaper.
Who's Sanders?
Sanders, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, Spencer Sanders.
Oh
Oklahoma.
God, I want some Dunkel bucks. That was who you were talking about this whole time. Oh my God, I want Dunkel bucks. I want my first ever $100 wager versus Dunkel.
Yeah. So you want Sanders, Daniel head to head today? Yeah, I'll take.
Yeah,
100.
just one. I want 100 Dunkel dollars.
I'll take 100 of BigT dollars there.
Yeah, yes, first ever one on the whiteboard.
Yeah,
I didn't know that's who you were talking about. You were talking about that dust bucket the whole time.
I consistently, it'll be a narrative. I consistently talk about dust buckets on the show. It's
not consistent. Don't be going back to the sandbag move. This is the only dust bucket you were talking about.
But yeah, to me, again, you weigh it all together, right? If Sanders was going to be higher owned today, I'd play Daniels. But Sanders will be lower owned today, and to me, he has just as much upside at a cheaper price. So yeah, to me, it's an easy spot for me to go Sanders higher than Daniels.
At some point, though, you got to weigh wiener size too, and one of them has a bigger wiener.
That one with the bigger wiener is also in a much tougher matchup. So yeah, overall,
why is it tougher? Why is it a tougher matchup though? They're at home. The wrong team's favored in this game. Why is it a tougher matchup?
I think what Kansas has done has been tremendous. I think that I'm a big prior guy. I can only move a team so far on the priors. Kansas could stick it up my ass today and could continue to stick it up my ass, but this is a team that figures to be an underdog the rest of the way. I think that I even bet Iowa State today, so maybe there's some bias there. But yeah, overall, we'll just agree to disagree, I guess. Mangone, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Big T. Like Alpha.
Let's go, Mangone. Stare Dunkel down.
These matchups,
he wins all the money. We got to get him when we can get him.
I was debating on asking Dunkel to peel 100, but
get another undie in there.
This dude's too hot, so I don't know. But good to see Big T on my side at least. I mean, I love this spot for Jalen Daniels. He's just underpriced, Dunkel. I mean, he should be 8K or above. As I like to say to Big T, Scotty Scheffler, he was like in the 7Ks, too cheap.
Oh,
he's going to be 10K.
Here we go.
Jalen Daniels.
We had all the good mojo going, and then you start going back to you went all the way to the PGA well on me.
Yeah.
COVID PGA.
That's a good one. It's a good callback. But Jalen Daniels, definitely like him. The big debate I'm having, and it's funny, I was going to literally ask Big T this question. I could ask Dunkel or Bruce too. Like, what are you guys doing with the Hutchinson Brock thing? Like, I'm debating on just grouping them away from each other, but I also understand, like, yeah, both of them could win on the same team. Like, I'm totally
definitely
agree.
not grouping them away, but I get it.
What I thought about doing was like grouping them away on like some of my teams, like in my MME, and then like the other ones have them together. Like, that's kind of something I did.
If you don't group them away, you'll just get them, obviously, because they're the two best plays. So you have to group them away unless you want them together.
Well, yeah, I was gonna group them away, and then like maybe on like a couple teams make sure they're together. Like, kind of like typically when I upload my MME stuff, like I go through, and if I can't get it perfect and there's like a couple guys in there that I don't want, I'm like, I'll manually change that team, and then maybe that's how I'll manually get exposure to it. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process on how to handle it. I don't know if Dunkel and Bruce got some takes, because I think it's one of the bigger conversations to have on this slate.
And I want to be clear, I have Daniels in lineups. I'm just not going to be at the field on Daniels today. And as for Brock, I'm not going to have a single lineup with both of them in the same lineup, Hutchinson, Brock. Again, my take on Brock is I'm going to have exposure to him, but it's going to be another guy I'm underweight on. I personally don't see his upside. At the price, I don't see his upside. So I need, at that price on this slate, I need a running back I feel pretty good that could go 5X. I don't feel very good about him going 5X. He could, but I don't like the chances of it. But I'll have exposure, just underweight is all. I can't blame people playing Kansas. I know Kansas is going to be popular today. Daniels should be popular at this price.
So A little bit of news. Let me break in real quick. Donovan Edwards warming up for Michigan, so it hurts quorum, obviously. Aiden O'Connell taking first team snaps as well. So
I'll tell you what would be really tilting for me, Bruce, is, and we've seen this in college before, O'Connell's suited up, taking first team snaps.
No, don't even say it.
And the game starts and he's sitting there on the fucking sidelines with the helmet on.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse about, I love everything about college. It's my favorite DFS sport probably, but man, is it tilting when your dude just stands over there after you thought he was in. It's the absolute worst.
Yeah. And I have way too much of him today. For that, yeah, either way. But yeah, it never fun in that regard, but we'll move on. We'll move on to the next game up. I think we got 3 left. So we'll try to speed through these, I guess. And the A&M game will be quick. Hold on 1 second. Oh, this is brutal. Bruce, can you tell me the next game, if you don't mind?
Florida State.
Yep. There we go.
Okay, so part of me hates that they priced Jordan Travis this high. Part of me likes that they priced Jordan Travis this high. This dude in this spot has absolute break slate upside at this price. Now, if he was, and I say total break slate because he's just not, people aren't just going to click his name at this price. So if he was 7K at the same price as Daniel, I think a lot more people would be off Daniel and be playing Travis. 8,800. The concerning piece is that he had that leg injury a few weeks back and he just wasn't running. The whole point of him potentially breaking a slate is him running. This matchup is so good for Florida State. Wake is going to speed this team up. And it's really, again, another quarterback you can easily pair with, what's his name? Is it Ontario Wilson?
Yep.
Easy pair with him. Yeah, definitely going to have Travis exposure. To me, the run back is also very easy. I wanted your take on the 3K wide receiver for Wake, because he's a second string receiver that's apparently getting a lot of snaps in Jamal Banks, excuse me. So to me, if I'm stacking this game or where I'm stacking this game, it's very simple. It's the Florida State quarterback with Wilson and run back with Banks. Bruce, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I know Banks in the past has rotated a bit with Taylor Moran, but he seems to have passed him up a little bit. Got 64% of the snaps last week, and I think it was similar the week before. So he's just too good of a play to face, especially in single entries cash. You need the value today, and he's going to see 5 to 7 targets, 20 yards down the field as well. It's going to be a good game too. So yeah, I can't fade that. He's going to be lower owned just because there's so many value guys, and I think he's just one of the better value guys up there with like an Everett Stewart. I do like A.T. Perry today. He's going to be low owned. I know that we love A.T. Perry here, so I don't have to make too strong of a case for him, but he should be around 10% owned, which I love to see. Johnny Wilson's going to be low owned. Ontario Wilson's going to be low owned. Just all these receivers are going to be so low owned. You can pretty much stack them up how you want. Now the tough part for me is the running back spot here. I don't want any of the Wake running backs just because they rotate too much. But Florida State, you have Benson there for 3K, which is a misprice. And Trayshawn Ward, nobody's going to play him. 6,200. It's a good spot for him. They love to run the football too, so I do like him a good amount. And like you said, the 2 quarterbacks in this game are just really good plays. Hartman and Travis. So I have a lot of exposure to this game, and I like it a whole lot.
Big T, how you approaching this game?
Yeah, my 2 favorite plays of the slate are both 3K guys, Trey Benson and Jamal Banks. They are great plays. They both have smashed at times. And when we play 3K guys in college, we don't expect much, right? Like tons of times these guys bust. I could see both. I mean, both of these guys legitimately have like 20 to 30 point upside. Like they're just freebies, and it lets me fit the studs in that might be lower owned. That's the roster construction I'm going with today. I love freaking Sam Hartman. The dude is a total legend. I'm so happy he's back on the field. It was disappointing when all the bad news hit and we weren't sure if he was going to be able to play anymore. Just an absolute legend, the guy. What was his line last week? Let me pull it up real quick. Last week, because has he played 1 or 2 games? He's played 3 games. I didn't realize he played 3. 32, 27, 41. I mean, 41 points against Clemson is just an absolute stud. And I'm playing him 8,400. I don't think he'll be all that crazy high owned either. I just love this game. And it's so freaking easy to start my teams with Hartman, Jamal Banks. And I love it. I feel great about it. Florida State is going to give up points. They're going to score points. You can game stack it. You can do so much. Our boy Johnny Wilson's in there, 5,500. You could even play Ward and Benson together and fade the passing game. Run it back with Hartman in the passing game from Wake. So many options in this game. I love it. It's my favorite game of the slate. And my 2, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to lock both of them, Benson and Banks. That's how much I think they're just locks to me, both 3K guys. It just gives you so much flexibility across your roster construction, and they will be owned, but they're not going to be owned like they should be on a slate with you can go up at quarterback, you can go up at all the positions. I'm locking them. So that's my take on this game.
Mangone, same sentiment?
Yeah, he brought up good points about him. And like the key with the receiver is like Banks, Braden Johnson. Like there's so many other values. Like there's Stewart. I mean, it's endless. Miles Price. So you can just keep going and going about it. Like those plays. Love the idea of Sam Hartman with A.T. Perry as well. I think A.T. Perry is a great contrarian option, kind of like Charlie Jones. So really like going to A.T. Perry. Jordan Travis, I like a lot. I don't think you need to pair him with Wilson, but if you play Wilson, I want Jordan Travis with it. I think that's kind of how I handle it, just because of what Jordan Travis's rushing ability is. And with all the great value receivers on this slate, you would get away with playing Travis naked, I think. So that's my overall thoughts on this game.
Okay, cool. We could move on. 2 more games left. Hold on. So Maryland, Michigan State. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a game that goes under the radar or not. I know Baby Tua has let down folks countless times, time and time.
He's my damn nemesis. Like God. Oh,
woof, this price for him is good. But again, another quarterback that you don't really feel all that comfortable pairing with a wide receiver. But yeah, this price leads a lot. Leads a lot for you. Most of my builds didn't get here to Baby Tua. More or less, that's because I don't have a guy I can trust him with. And it's not like the rush upside's been like crazy good either. So the point, like he has to seemingly either get there with his arm. And if he gets there with his arm, again, another guy you have to hope you paired with the wide receiver. And the run back is, let me look what I have here. I mean, I don't even know who the run back for Michigan State would be. So it's a tough game. I get it. It's got a high total. There figures to be points for sure. And the pricing's fair. It's just, man, it's really tough to commit to anything in this game for me anyway. Mangone, we'll start with you for a change. How are you approaching this game? A game that figures to go under the radar, I'd assume anyway. Yet there's definitely upside to it. How are you approaching it?
Yeah, Baby Tua is tough because, like, I mean, we talked about it last year, and on the preview for the season show, I talked about it with Bruce. Like, man, Michigan State, are they a pass funnel again? Yes, they are. And it's like a perfect spot for him to line up. I think on like other slates, it maybe be a little bit higher owned, but we have like just Jalen Daniels, and that whole 7K range just has so many elite options that you can go to it at quarterback, where I think more people gravitate towards Daniels. I think people will play Tua, but the issue that I'm having when you play him is like, which receiver is it? Not only do you have to get it right, and they're running the ball a lot more this year, but it is a pass funnel. Which receivers are you going to put in there? So that's the one issue I'm having a little bit with this slate, is like just playing that guessing game. I mean, I typically lean to go to Jarrett. I think Copeland's not a bad option, but ultimately, if I play him, I'm going to make sure when I play him, it's with like one or two of them, no doubt. You have to play him with at least one or two. And I'm just going to like open up the roulette wheel and just say all 5 of these options that you can pick at receiver are in play and just hope the chips fall my way. I mean, it's really hard to guess which one, where you could make the argument the fade of Tua could be interesting just because not only do you have to get that portion right, but you also have to get right which receiver it is. It's not like, hey, if Aiden O'Connell goes off, then Charlie Jones does well. Or if Dylan Gabriel goes off, likely Marvin Mims crushes too. Like, that's just one of the debates you have to have with yourself when you're building out your teams.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Big T, I'll go to you over for this game. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, Tua's just killed me, just murdered me in the past. And you guys bring up good points where, God, look at the receivers. You got 6 guys that we've stacked in the past, 5, 6 guys that it makes it really hard. And if I was like just going all in on a spot, I would just play Tua and like filter these receivers all around, hope to get lucky. But there's known spots today, like Dunkel talked about with O'Connell and Charlie Jones. You can go Hartman with the cheap guy or AT, Bryce Young with guys, Jalen Daniels naked, but a bunch of these guys, Jordan Travis, you got guys. I don't know. Like, I don't want to do it. Every time I play this dude, he sucks. Like, I played this guy as much as anyone, and I swear he's never came through for me. It's the late game. You're going to get all excited because you got all your dudes coming, and then he's hurt on top of it. And the same week his brother gets carted off. It's just so much bad mojo around everything that everyone knows me. I believe in like mojo stuff, and I just can't do it. I know it's a pass funnel. I know it's a good spot. There's just so many good plays on this slate. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to try to find the receiver. I'm just fading it all. Just let me fade this game. And Michigan State's receiver, what's his name? Jaden Reed or whatever the dude's name is. He just hasn't been that great this year. The couple games I've watched, he just wasn't that involved. I'm just fading it. All these guys look overrated to me. It's just a tricky spot. But I mean, if you love it, jam it. And I wouldn't be like stunned if it shipped or something, but I guarantee it's not going to be me that it ships for.
Is the weather bad? Like, can we look at that? Like, I mean, that's
The
another
total's going up, if anything, I think. And Uncle
Yeah.
knows more than me about it, but isn't it going up?
Yeah, there's
It's thought to come down a bit.
rain
come
and 15
down?
mile an hour winds. So
No, not anything alarming, but I think it's come down a point or two.
Tony, who's the last dude? Remember Slovis, you and I, we faded
Ugh.
him together. He
Yeah.
got hurt in the rain. I think I'm going to fade him. It just seems like I don't want to play the guessing game. I'm sick of trying to do it. Am I scared of?
It's not even like a
Yeah.
3-man guessing game. It's a 6-man guessing game. And they got running backs that every once in a while run one in too. It's like, oh,
I've been debating what to do with him. I'm finally hitting the X. I'll just get more Jalen Daniels at the same price.
just to own Dunkel. Let's just freaking own his ass at the same price. It would feel so good to own him one week.
Yeah, finally get one in the chamber over him.
I'm not going to be like him either. When I whoop his ass for the first time all year, I'm going to let him know. I'm going to come on next week proud. I'm not going to be sandbagging. I'm going to say, Dunkel, I whooped your ass last week.
Yeah, give me O'Connell and Sanders collectively at less ownership than Daniels. But yeah, may the odds be ever in all our favors. Bruce, did you touch on this game yet?
No, I didn't. I won't have much of it. I do like Keon Coleman, his price. If you want a Michigan State receiver, he's the guy. Just looking at his targets, last 4 weeks, 9, 8, 13, and 7. He's only 4,200. So if you like this game and you want to stack it up, play some Maryland guys, run Coleman back. He looks the part too. To me, he looks better than Reed right now. I think Reed's probably banged up a little bit, and pretty much want to stay away. The Maryland running back situation is annoying. 3 guys there. Michigan State, don't like any of the running game, and tough to pick a Maryland receiver. I guess if Jarrett's in, you probably can get him at lower ownership just because he's been banged up. But yeah, Copeland 5K is too much for him. That's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Last but not least, what do we got? A&M, Mississippi State. Ugly game. Obviously, we'll likely go underlooked, I guess. Let me see what players, if any, I tagged in this game. So I think you could play, is it pronounced a Kane, the running
Yeah.
back?
The first one. Yeah.
And I think you can play Stewart on the A&M side. Ducking is likely to be, I mean, at his price, I guess he's in play. Other than that, it's an ugly game. This game figures to slug like some of the other games we mentioned before. I don't know why this would be the game you would take a stand on and go overweight. Personally, I love these late game hammer spots, but man, there's nothing here. Both these offenses are blah, and at times usually you can rely on a receiver from Mississippi State, so that's why Ducking is maybe in play. But the rest of these guys, it's a weird game. The pricing's not there, so easy stay away spot for me overall. Bruce, we'll go back to you. Thoughts on this game?
Yeah, two of the slowest paced teams in college football. So A&M just wants to slow it down. I think they're 121st in pace. So 46 total. Evan Stewart, 3,600. He's going to get a lot of ownership, over 20% or so. He's probably their best receiver right now since Nia Smith is out. So he's interesting. I think he's averaging about 8 targets a game, so that's a solid play. I think Ducking, you mentioned, he's 5 touchdowns. I think he scored 2 last week, and I think a chain will definitely have some ownership. I see him around 30%, so you can definitely play him if you do. Possibly Dylan Johnson could be a decent run back, but they just don't run the football, and you're just relying on targets there. But yeah, I'm pretty much taking a stand on this one, just possibly playing a chain or Stewart.
Cool. Big T, this game, obviously nothing crazy in it, but anything you like?
Yeah, I mean, super simple. Another game, one guy each side, a chain. I mean, where's our boy Anus at? Is he in jail?
He's out for the year. Yeah.
In jail or injured?
No, injured.
I thought he did something or something at some point.
Yeah, drunk driving or something. But yeah.
That sucks. He's gone. He was always good mojo for us. He always got it done. But a chain, yeah. I mean, you can play him for sure. He's in that running back bucket with a ton of guys. And Ducking's definitely in my player pool. He is too cheap. But again, receiver, there's a lot of guys in that range to where I'm not like forcing him in, but he's yet another guy that you can just filter through your lineups. Nothing crazy here, though. Just those two for me.
Mangone, what about you?
It's mainly Ducking, a chain, and Stewart. Like those 3 can get exposure to him. Of like the value receivers, Stewart's the one I'm most nervous about. I have some exposure to him, but I like Banks and Johnson over him. A chain, it's like him versus Deuce Vaughn. I kind of lean Deuce Vaughn if I can get up to him. I know they're not the same exact price range, but if I could get the Deuce, I'd rather go him. And then, yeah, I think overall that's kind of my takeaways on this game. It's one to get some small exposure to. We don't have to like jam it in.
Fair enough. And folks, that wraps up the show. We were 8 minutes late. We almost got it in under an hour and a half, but we didn't. So failure for me. But with that said, fun slate today. Overall, I think that they're getting better and better with this pricing at DK. You were always going to have these mishaps, but I don't think there's anything crazy this week. So yeah, either way, we take the slate as it comes. And any last thoughts from any of you 3 on this slate?
I disagree, Uncle. I think they're doing a bad job on pricing and they need to get better. Okay. I want them to get better. It's why are these receivers so mispriced this week? I mean, I know
I'm definitely on the other end. I always like soft pricing.
It.
Give me the dudes give me these 2-3K guys every week, and I'm going to have no problem making money.
Yeah, I definitely like a tighter pricing, but at the same time, I realize that it's never going to happen. So like, you're always
I mean, every week we say the same thing for like multiple sports too. We're like, yeah, get the pricing fixed. And then the next week, the dude that went for 30 comes out 3K.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, folks, thank you for watching. Thanks you for tuning in with the comments. Obviously, we'll have our cores up on the site. Run Pure Sports. What's the active code right now, guys?
The active code is I'm going to kick Dunkle's ass today.
There you go. That code will get you some percentage off, I guess. But yeah, obviously head over, check us out on Pure Sports. All our core plays are up, and Bruce does a tremendous job with the playbook week in and week out. Obviously, there'll be more stuff for the late slate tonight as well. And then of course, NFL tomorrow, full morning slate of content where everybody's going to be involved. And I'll be in there late with the final countdown with JSU and Holden. But yes, until then, folks, gamble responsibly, stay safe. And as always, run pure. Helmet. Let's get out of here.